Hey, it's the abstractionist. So I posted a short that basically was like, I have the decks, like some deck videos, and like a rant video. This is the rant video. Um, I don't want to call it like an overt like rant video, but I guess it's like a realization. I guess it may fall more into my like Saturn series. It's kind of chilly out there on in here, but it was pretty hot, so let me keep this on. Anyway, so yeah, like my video. So basically, I was talking to my friend, and I was like, I feel like I'm not a sparkly spiritual person anymore. I'm like a practical spiritual person. And what I mean by that is, I think when you get into like spirituality and stuff like that, particularly in the tarot community, there is this kind of like sparkliness to spirituality. And what I mean by that is kind of like the glittering dream of being outside like the matrix and like bucking convention and doing all these things. But I guess as I've gotten through this Saturn kind of period, Saturnian kind of period, I kind of like am losing my interest in being a sparkly spirituality kind of person, and I want to be more practical. And by that I mean mastering like very 3D basic kind of things like money and structure and daily tasks and things like that. And I kind of feel like there's this like chasm in tarot land with that. I think the long and short of it is that tarot spaces aren't enlivening to me as much anymore. I think because I came into tarot more like relationship type things, and maybe because I'm out of that, I'm getting out of that phase and I'm getting more into like the practical things that I actually like need to do to like live. That is like less intriguing, and I kind of feel like also the online space is less intriguing. I am not leaving this YouTube, but I do implore people to be in the real world with their spirituality. I feel like I said this before. Pluto in Aquarius is more about being in the real world. As much as technology advances, as much as we have access to different spaces online, what I'm ultimately driving at is like the sparkly spiritual stuff is online, and then like the real practical spirituality stuff is like in person, right? Where you have to like actually apply what you're reading about and talking about and wanting to experience. You actually have to go and experience it, and that's where I am. Like I'm very much into applying like these spiritual laws or understanding these spiritual experiences in a more practical sense and not just being online, right? And I find online like tarot spaces to be very grating. Maybe I need to step over into like the more intellectual side, but I was going through my feed and I was just like, you know, the number of people I watch now is just it's really dwindling. And I still watch my romantic kind of stuff, but like I guess I can also detect a lot of the readers that just hopped on. I just feel like they just hopped on there. It's like I guess when you get past a certain point in your life, a lot of that stuff is very grating, and it's very annoying, and it's very, I don't know, it's like I just feel it's very disingenuous, and maybe people are really in that space, but there's just something about like all of these videos about, you know, I had to like recalibrate. I try not to watch videos like who's envious of you, who hates you, what does your enemy think, you know, what's their karma for hurting you? I try to like get out of that, and I've seen shifts in like readers that I used to like, and I don't know what happened to them. They like just shifted, and you know, sometimes I go back to old pages that I used to watch, and then I'm just like, man, like you don't want to say you're still there, but like the content that they make is still in a certain timeline loop. And I guess that's what I'm kind of thinking about. Like I'm changing and I'm in this timeline loop that's, it's like I'm on a different timeline interacting with like this old timeline, and it's grating on me because there's like so many new things that I'm trying to do. And it's not like these old channels and these old things are like actively getting in my way. It's just, I think with Saturn, you can feel your old timelines. Like you can feel your old timelines within your body, and like, I guess if you're not in that space anymore, it doesn't feel like very good to be in that space. And so I'm like looking at old channels that I used to watch, and I'm just like, I can't relate to this shit no more. Or like, yeah, I just feel like the online tarot space, it has so much potential, but I just feel like there's just so many charlatans out there, and there's just so many people who I'm just like, I don't have a good feeling about you as a reader. I think the discernment is kicking in for me about who I need to be like entertaining as a reader, and what I should entertain and moving forward with my life. And I think that a lot of the tarot spaces are keeping people like stuck. And it's so funny because as a tarot reader in real life, outside, in person, I'm not interested in a lot of the stuff that is on my feed anymore, right? I'm very much about bringing perspectives to the Aquarian, but like the stuff that I'm seeing, I'm just like, man, you know, what's happening out here? I think for a lot of you guys, you know, I would, if you really want to read for people in person. Do not think that this is like the only space you can share with other people. And I think that's what's driving me more and more with like my dissatisfaction, is that I want to be offline. And I don't know, it's just something about being offline in real life, just with like people that you see every day or could see every day or see just in person. It's different. The online world feels, it used to feel like the fullest expression of myself was online, and now it feels like the fullest expression of myself is in real life, which it should be, because it's like that's where I live. I live in real life. Like online me like is a real thing, but it's not like as real as me in real life, right? Like if you meet me in real life, you see me in real life, there's certain elements that are gonna like still be there, but there's so much more depth that's in real life. And so I'm just in this space of kind of like figuring that out, like really figuring that in online, offline kind of like energy, and then this timeline hopping. Another thing that's becoming more interesting to me is timelines and timeline hopping. And this isn't the first time I talked about that, but I think I'm interested in it because it requires you to do work on yourself in the real world and not online. And I feel like the tarot space, the more I like examine it, a lot of the people are stuck in loops because they refuse to do any sort of work on themselves in real life, and they think that being online, experiencing these things, is going to be the way that they transcend. And I kind of feel like that's an illusion that will keep people, a lot of people, stuck on certain timelines that shouldn't be stuck on certain timelines, and they'll wonder why things have not shifted. And part of Saturn is kind of like, you have to be out in the real world doing things. And something about Saturn and Pisces, the irony is that I think Saturn and Pisces would go for the online space as a means of escapism, but really the means of escapism is like a trap. And the realization that it is a trap to fully put yourself in this transcendent kind of matrix, this transcendent arena. Transcendent meaning that you live on forever, or you can become more than this like physical being, this physical vessel. It really kind of is like, it's like an illusion, so to speak, because it's like, okay, so the energetic resonance of that online space, like energy can't be destroyed, but if anything happens to the online space, then what happens? And the offline space, the people that you interact with, the people that you touch, the physical things that you build, like, it's almost like the resonance of that is not an illusion versus the resonance of online life, the frequency of online life, the vibration of online life is almost like an illusion. And wading through it's like very complicated and hard to like explain what I'm experiencing. But Saturn and Pisces, I think, like I feel like Saturn in like the upper houses per se, like, you know, and when I mean upper, I mean like Libra through Pisces. I feel like there is a real desire, it's so hard to explain, a real desire to transcend a lot of things and have a larger perspective. And I feel like via online spaces or spaces where large groups of people can corral, but ultimately sometimes I feel like that stuff is like an illusion, and we're getting trapped into that illusion. And being in real life, doing real life things, very practical things, very basic things, very boring things, very primitive things. There is also like the idea of primitive versus like this evolutionary technological type thing. That's something that's coming up. So it's kind of like I'm seeing this online space, and it's like I was once there in a lot of these spaces, but now it's just like grating to be in these spaces. And someone I used to watch a long time ago, I still pop into their channel, but like for the most part, I'm not really interested in watching a lot. But she was like, kind of like she would be more fascinated to meet people who are like very practical things, like a business CEO or a lawyer or something like that, and they would be like a witch. And like that would be very fascinating, as opposed to, I guess, like the online spirituality kind of guru. And that's the thing about spirituality too. Like, we need to get out of the idea that spirituality does not look like a suit and tie. That spirituality solely looks like yoga pants and tie-dye and crystals and, you know, stuff like that. Like, that is spirituality and not necessarily the more mundane things. Like the person who wears a suit and tie and commutes to work and, you know, like like that person is somehow less spiritual because they're in the mundane, when I would argue that a lot of spiritual people seek escapism through spirituality as opposed to kind of playing this simulation game. They want to escape the matrix instead of, I guess, I don't want to say embracing the matrix, but embracing the idea that maybe the way you transcend is through actual, like, grounded type things, you know, like making money to help you do X, Y, and Z, or stuff like that. Like, I don't know. Like, you know, there's nothing. I kind of feel like the ideas of spirituality versus like materialism, I guess, are. It's very like complicated. Like, it's very complicated to wade through, and I'm not gonna get through all of this. I should just do a blog again, start up the blog, and then go from there. But like, these are just things I'm thinking about. Like, you need to be in real life. You can't be online all the time. And I think that the people who want to be online a lot, like I am online a lot, but I find that I'm interested in doing things in person like a lot more. The people who always want to be online, I think there's a lot of trouble ahead for those people. I think it's a lot of stuff that's going to happen to their psychology. And, you know, if you thought that this is the Matrix, this, you know, is definitely going to be like a Matrix. And I say that one, I think the online world is going to be a more vicious Matrix that feels a lot sweeter, right, to people. I don't think that Pluto in Aquarius is going to be very kind to people, particularly people who want to always be online and not do very practical things. And I kind of feel like we should have like seminars or something where people do like just very basic things, like just sit down and eat, sit down and like wash dishes or something like that. Like, I just feel like it's not even like the pace of the world. It's just, I think people are foregoing, like, like it's almost like I understand that the reality of being here where there's density and like you have to like feel things in your body and all that kind of stuff, like, it's heavy, right? The online world is not particularly heavy, right? Like, you're not there. But it's very consuming of your energy. And one thing to consider, I guess, is if the online space disappears and energy is never destroyed, then what does that mean for all the stored energy of your channel? Like, what does that mean? Where does that go? Right? What does it become? Right? More than just like the content, like the energy that I'm using to make this video. Where will it go? If you put it on an online platform and then that platform like disappears, where will it go? Right? I don't know. These are like things that I think about a lot. I feel like this makes no sense, but I'm starting to get tired of the online space solely. And I hope that more people start to recalibrate what that means, like in person versus like online, and find like a better balance for them. And to get out of, as one of the business people I follow, get out of the cesspool. because like I think a lot of people are also in the cesspool, and I think that the online space is designed to make it kind of hard to get out of it, but it's also a mental kind of agility tool. If you can get off of the hamster wheel, and it's not even like consuming or having to create content all the time. I think it's just the energy shift of like being in person, right? Like putting all that energy towards like a thing that's in real life. This is like a ramble. Anyway, thanks for watching, I guess. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Because I'm just like so rambling. And it's not even I'm tired. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I've been thinking about like these different little things all the time. So, all right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.